people in the house. So check it. You see what the topic is. What is the difference between a federal UCC filing versus a state UCC filing versus a maritime lien? The main difference between a federal UCC filing and a state UCC filing comes down to jurisdiction, authority, and how the filing is recognized in commerce. The Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, is primarily a state-level commercial law system, not a federal one. State UCC filing, the standard commercial filing, a state UCC filing is the normal and legally recognized filing used in commerce. Okay, my people? Where it is filed, usually with the Secretary of State, where the debtor is located, sometimes with a county clerk for real estate-related collateral. The purpose creates a public notice of a security interest in collateral, establishes priority among creditors. Common examples: banks filing a lien on a car loan, a lender filing against business equipment, a creditor securing accounts receivable. Example: offices, New York Department of State for New York UCC filings, Florida Division of Corporations for Florida filings. Some of the key characteristics governed by state-adopted UCC law: publicly searchable, recognized by courts and lenders, establishes secured creditor rights. Federal UCC filing often is misunderstood. There is no general federal UCC filing system for ordinary commercial transactions. The UCC is not a federal law. It was created by Uniform Law Commission, American Law Institute. Each state adopts it into their own statutes, which is why filings happen at the state level. Situations where federal filings exist. Some federal liens or notices are filed with federal agencies, but they are not UCC filings. Examples: federal tax liens filed by the Internal Revenue Service, aircraft liens recorded with the Federal Aviation Administration, maritime liens recorded with the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm going to repeat that. Federal tax liens filed by the Internal Revenue Service, aircraft liens recorded with the Federal Aviation Administration, maritime liens recorded with the U.S. Coast Guard. So, there was a top guru that does classes on executorship, and we all know who that is. He has a lien out that was filed in 2011. He mentioned in his lien that it was a maritime lien, which was false and wrong on his UCC, because all maritime liens are recorded with the Coast Guard, not the state UCC filing. So that's a strike against that guru that gives the executive classes charging people with all that money. Wrong strike on that. He was wrong, my people. These are federal lien systems, not UCC filings. So he filed a maritime lien in the state UCC filing. That was wrong. Why people talk about federal UCC? In some sovereign or redemption theories, people refer to filing UCCs in Washington, D.C. He mentioned that also in his UCC state filing. Filings against the U.S. Treasury, claiming the birth certificate estate. He even said that the certificate of birth was a maritime lien, and that is wrong, my people. I'm going to show you. Stay with me. Keep listening. However, Courts generally do not recognize these as creating legal secured interests. They do not replace state UCC filings. Practical comparison. Feature. The state UCC filing is a legal system, state commercial law. Filing office, security of Secretary of the State. Purpose, perfect security interests, recognition, courts and lenders recognize. Searchable, yes. Simple way to remember: UCC equals state commerce filing. Federal government equals separate lien systems. Since you have been working with the UCC filings and trust structures, I can also show you the three types of UCC filings most people misunderstand. The difference between UCC 1 financing statement and UCC 3 amendment, or how priority and perfection actually work in commercial law. Since you are working with trust creditor claims and UCC filings, it helps to understand the three main types of UCC filings and how they function in commerce. The UCC system is part of state commercial law, typically administered by the New York Department of the State or other state filing offices, my people. Okay? Other state filing offices. My people, are you listening? UCC financing statement creates public notice. What it is. A UCC financing statement is a document filed to give public notice that a creditor claims a security interest in collateral belonging to a debtor. What it does not create the debt. It simply announces to the public that a security interest exists. Think of it as placing a flag on collateral, so other creditors know someone already claims it. Information usually included: debtor name, secured party name, collateral description, filing jurisdiction. Example: collateral, vehicles, business assets, equipment, accounts receivable, intellectual property. Once filed, the secured party has priority rights over later creditors. UCC 3 amendment changes an existing filing. A UCC 3 modifies a previously filed UCC 1. Common uses: a UCC 3 can terminate, removes the lien when the debt is paid, assign, transfers the secured interest to another creditor, amend, changes collateral description or party names, continue, extends the filing past its expiration. UCC 1, fixture filing, real estate collateral. A fixture filing is used when collateral is attached to real property. Examples: solar panels, HVAC systems, factory equipment attached to a building. They are usually filed with a county clerk instead of only the Secretary of State. So you have to have property to file at the county clerk. Mortgage, car. Example: office. Office priority works in UCC law. Priority determines who gets paid first if collateral is seized or liquidated. The rule is generally first to file or perfect has priority. Example: bank files UCC 1 on equipment in 2023. Another creditor files in 2024. The 2023 creditor gets paid first. What perfection means. Perfection means the creditor has taken legal steps to enforce their security interests against third parties. Methods of perfection include filing a UCC 1, taking possession of collateral, control of financial accounts. Once perfected, the interest becomes publicly enforceable. Duration of a UCC filing. A UCC filing, UCC 1 normally lasts how many years, y'all? You should already know this. 5 years. Before expiration, the secured party files a continuation UCC 3 to extend it another 5 years. Okay? How courts view UCC filings. Courts treat a UCC filing as public notice, evidence of a security interest, but a UCC filing must be supported by real security agreement between debtor and creditor. Without that agreement, The filing alone does not create enforceable rights. How trusts sometimes use UCC filings. Some trusts or estates file UCC statements to show security interests in trust assets, assignment of accounts or receivables, collateralization of promissory notes. However, the security agreement behind the filing is what actually creates the legal relationship. Simple structure. Security agreement creates the lien. UCC 1 gives public notice. Perfection makes it enforceable against others. Because you have been working with trust structures, creditor claims, private bonds, UCC filings, I can also show you the three deeper topics that many people misunderstand. The difference between UCC Article 3 versus Article 9. This is huge in finance. How banks actually use UCC filings in securitization, how collateral chains work in large trusts and financial institutions. Now, my people, what is intellectual property and examples? Intellectual property, IP, is something created by human mind that the law treats as property. It allows the creator, the creditor, the creator or owner to control license or profit from the creation, even though it is not a physical object. Governments protect these rights through laws administered by agencies like the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the United States Copyright Office. Main types of intellectual property. A copyright. Copyright protects original creative works, examples, books and poetry, music and lyrics, movies and videos, artwork and photography, computer software, online content. Example, if you have a poetry book out there, my people, that would automatically be protected by copyright once written. You can also formally register it with the United States Copyright Office for stronger legal protection. Trademarks. Trademarks protect brand identity. Example, business names, logos, slogans, or symbols. Examples in the real world, Nike swoosh, McDonald's golden arches, Apple logo. If a trust or a business name becomes a brand, it can be trademarked. For example, if you marketed products under your trust name, whatever your trust name is, the brand name or logo could potentially be trademarked. Patents. Patents protect inventions and new technological processes. Examples, machines, medical devices, software algorithms, chemical formulas, manufacturing methods. A patent gives the inventor the exclusive rights to make, use, or sell the invention for about 20 years. Patents are issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Trade secrets. A trade secret is valuable business information that is kept confidential instead of registered. Examples, Coca-Cola recipe, your grandmother's recipe, Google search algorithm, secret manufacturing processes, customer lists. Trade secrets stay protected as long as they remain secret. Simple way to understand intellectual property: copyright, creative works; trademark, brand identity; patent, inventions; trade secrets, confidential business information. So your key ideal, my people, intellectual property allows you to own ideals, creative works, and innovations the same way you own land or equipment. Since you are writing a poetry book or you're doing music or something along those lines, you actually have several forms of intellectual property already. So the poems, you copyright. The book title and the brand potential trademark. An original financial system or method you describe, possibly patentable if it is yours truly new. Now, my people, can you put music and poetry on a UCC? Yes, you can list music and poetry on a UCC 1, but it's important to understand what the filing actually does and what it does not do. A UCC financing statement filed through a state office like New York Department of State simply gives public notice of a security interest in collateral. What is the collateral? The collateral could be your music, your poetry. It does not create ownership of intellectual property. It does not replace copyright registration. It just gives a notice. Your music or poetry would be treated as intellectual property collateral under the UCC Article 9. What it means to put music or poetry on a UCC 1. If you list them as collateral, you're saying the secured party has a security interest in these creative works. Example, collateral description: musical compositions, sound recordings, lyrics, poetry manuscripts, copyrights and royalties, publishing rights. Typically, wording in the collateral section might look like all copyrights, musical compositions, sound recordings, poetry, manuscripts, publishing rights, royalties, and proceeds thereof, whether now existing or later created. This means the secured party has a lien or claim against those assets. When a UCC filings are used for creative works, this happens in real business situations, such as music industry. A record label takes a security interest in an artist's catalog. So if you have a catalog, you may want to put your catalog on the UCC. Publishing. A lender takes collateral in a book, copyrights, and royalty streams. Film and media financing. Investors secure rights to future royalties. Ownership versus security interests. Very important distinction. Action. Copyright registration. What it does, proves ownership. Action. UCC 1 filing. What it does, gives notice of a lien. Copyrights are registered with the United States Copyright Office or through Copyright Depot. A UCC filing does not substitute for copyright registration, where intellectual property filings usually happen. For IP, there is usually 2 places involved: Copyright Office, ownership record; state UCC filing, security interest record. Sometimes lenders record lien with both. So lien your music up, lien your poetry books up, lien your collateral up, lien your intellectual property up. Example structure for an artist or author: owner, artist or trust; asset, music catalog and poetry; steps, register copyright of songs and poems; create a security agreement; file a UCC 1 referencing these copyrights as collateral. Important legal reality: a UCC filing only works if there is a real secure transaction. Without a security agreement, a debtor, and secured party relationship, the filing generally has no legal effect beyond public notice. Example using your situation, okay? So let's get back to the can I file a UCC 1 claim against, nope, we don't want to do that. You can't file a UCC claim against your job, so don't even do it, y'all. Let's get back to the top guru out there that gives executive classes and charges people all of this money, $120, for that executive class. Let's talk about him. We won't even mention a name, but we all know who this guru is. He's the top guru out there. Wears a new suit every week on his show. Mondays and Wednesdays, the show comes on. I think all y'all know who I'm talking about. We ain't gonna say his name, but you can pull his UCC and we're going to talk about his UCC right now. How do I file a maritime lien recorded with the Coast Guard in New York State? A maritime lien recorded with the U.S. Coast Guard is used when a debt or claim is tied to a documented vessel, a boat that is federally registered. The filing is not done with New York State courts. It is recorded with the federal agency that maintains vessel documentation, the National Vessel Documentation Center of the United States Coast Guard. So, my people, if we go to his lien, in his lien, it says he has a B, claim of lien. In parentheses, he has a maritime lien, $9 billion lien. C, COL, form violation warnings, $9 billion. D, U.S. Department of Transportation, U.S. dot registrant, and then he put his name. E, certificate of title. He put the certificate of title. F, UCC 1, an addendum filed in Superior Court, Newton County, Georgia, filing book. And it gives a MS1 page and a page number. Certificate of title. Then he has an international use. H, international UCC filing and treaty in Washington State. Date of the filing is 06/02/2011. So he put on a UCC financing statement in the state of New York. He said that the claim of lien is a maritime lien. Now, we just read that a maritime lien is recorded with the United States Coast Guard. So his maritime lien is false in the UCC New York State financing with New York State. That's a false lien. Do not follow this man's lien. It's not right. Because a maritime lien recorded with the U.S. Coast Guard is used when a debt or claim is tied to a documented vessel. We're going to read on, because the documented vessel, if you're saying that it's a birth certificate or certificate of birth, a certificate of birth, you're going to listen. Follow me, my people. Hang out with me for a second. Okay, confirm the vessel is federally documented. A maritime lien recorded with the Coast Guard only applies if the boat is a documented vessel. You would have to document your birth certificate with the Coast Guard as a documented vessel. Keep listening to what I'm reading. The vessel, these vessels are listed in the U.S. Coast Guard vessel documentation system. If the boat is only state registered through New York State, you cannot record a federal maritime lien. You would use state legal remedies instead. So you cannot record a maritime lien on a UCC 1 financing statement, because the birth certificate is not a vessel. Determine if your claim qualifies as a maritime lien. Maritime liens usually arise from services or debts related to the vessel itself. Common valid examples: boat repairs or maintenance, dockage or marina fees, fuel or supplies provided to the vessel, crew wages, salvage services, damage caused by the vessel. These liens arise under federal maritime law, not under the UCC. So that guru that filed his UCC statement and said it was a maritime lien is steering everybody wrong. Do not follow his lien. He's wrong. Now, To record the lien, you prepare a notice of claim of lien containing vessel name, official vessel number, vessel owner name, amount of claim, description of services or debt, date services were provided, claimant name and address, signature. And this is how you prepare a notice of claim of lien. And file form CG-4593. The official document used to record the lien is Notice of Claim of Lien Form CG-4593. You file it with the National Vessel Documentation Center, the U.S. Coast Guard. That's who you file a maritime lien with, the Coast Guard. And you can't say it's under a birth certificate because the birth certificate is not a vessel. So that guru is steering people down the wrong road with telling them to file a maritime lien on a UCC. It's wrong. And I just told you, notice of claim of lien form CG-4593, you file it with the National Vessel Documentation Center. Submission can be done by mail, online through NVDC, through Maritime Documentation Services. Pay the recording fee, typically fee about $8 to $25, depending on filing method. The lien then becomes publicly recorded in the vessel's federal documentation record. What recording the lien does? Recording the lien gives public notice of the claim, attaches the claim to the vessel itself, allows enforcement in federal admiralty court. If unpaid, the vessel can potentially be arrested in admiralty court. These cases are handled in federal courts, such as the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York. So, a maritime lien applies only to vessels, VESSELS. It must be related to maritime services or debts. It is not related to UCC filings or trusts. A trust cannot do a maritime lien. A UCC1, you cannot file a maritime lien in a UCC1 financing statement. False maritime liens can bring legal penalties. You repair a documented fishing boat in Long Island and the owner does not pay you. You could prepare notice of claim of lien. File with the Coast Guard, NVDC. Go look this up for yourself. Do not follow that guru telling you to file a maritime lien on a UCC financing statement. You cannot do it. You file a maritime lien with the Coast Guard. Now, so my people, if you want, call 407-300-5377. We can help you file a maritime lien. Because evidently, maritime lien versus UCC liens, okay? Legal system, federal admiralty law, maritime lien applies to boats or vessels. Filing authority, United States Coast Guard, not a UCC financing statement in any one of the 50 states. Enforcement, Federal Admiralty Court is where a maritime lien is fought and filed and fought. So, example of the collateral, is a ship, a yacht, or cargo. The birth certificate is not a ship, it's not a yacht, and it's damn sure not cargo. And if it is, you have to prove it to make it a maritime lien. So a $9 billion lien on the birth certificate is some bullshit as a maritime lien on a UCC financing statement. It's bullshit, and that guru is giving you false information. How Admiralty jurisdiction actually works. Admiralty law governs navigation and commerce on navigable waters. Cases are handled by federal courts like the United States District Court for Eastern District of New York. Admiralty jurisdiction includes ship collisions. Has someone collided with your birth certificate? Prove it. Cargo disputes. Are you disputing cargo with your birth certificate? Prove it. Sailor wage claims. Is the birth certificate a sailor wage claim? Prove it. Salvage operations. Is the birth certificate a salvage operation? Prove it. Maritime contracts. Prove that the birth certificate is a maritime contract. Vessel mortgages. Prove that the birth certificate is a vessel mortgage. You're the top guru out there. Prove this shit, because your UCC lien is bullshit. In 2011, when you filed it, 06/02/2011. We ain't going to say your name, but you wear a new suit every week on your show, Monday and Wednesday on YouTube. Okay. If a marina in New York repairs a boat and the owner refuses to pay, the marina may place a maritime lien on the vessel and file a case in Admiralty Court. How maritime liens are recorded. When a vessel is federally documented, liens can be recorded with the National Vessel Documentation Center, not UCC financing statement in New York State. Wrong, my nigga. The NVDC is operated by the United States Coast Guard. So all your maritime liens must be filed by and in the United States Coast Guard. NVDC. Let's say it again. The NVDC is operated by the United States Coast Guard. The form is used, the form that you must use to file a maritime lien is a CG-4593 Notice of Claim lien. Information required includes vessel name, official vessel number, owner name, amount of claim, description of maritime service or debt. So, please, Mr. Guru that wears a new suit every week on his Monday and Wednesday show, please, what is the maritime vessel name? What is the maritime official vessel number? What is the maritime owner name? What is the maritime amount of claim? What is the maritime description of maritime service or debt? Please tell us that, Mr. Guru with a new suit on every fucking week on Monday and Wednesday on your YouTube show. The arrest of vessel process. One unique part of a maritime law is a vessel arrest. If the lien is valid and unpaid, the court can issue a warrant allowing the U.S. Marshals to seize the vessel. They need to seize his vessel for telling people to file a maritime lien on a UCC financing statement. He is sending everybody down the wrong path. Example process. Maritime lien exists. Claim filed in federal court. Judge issues arrest warrant. U.S. Marshal seize the boat. Boat may be sold to pay the debt. This is why maritime liens are very powerful in shipping law. Why UCC filings do not create maritime jurisdiction. Some people believe filing UCC documents creates admiralty or maritime jurisdiction. Legally, this is incorrect. The UCC was created by the Uniform Law Commission and the Law American Law Institute as state commercial law. It governs secure transactions, commercial lending, collateral interests. It does not govern ships, navigation, or maritime commerce. When maritime law actually applies, admiralty law applies when a case involves navigation or maritime commerce on navigable waters. Examples: cargo shipment disputes, boat collisions, dock damage, marine insurance claims, sailor employment disputes. Does this sound like a motherfucking birth certificate? No. That nigga has led a lot of people down the wrong fucking road. Maritime liens versus vessel mortgages. Are you with me, my people? Are you with me, my people? It doesn't matter if you're not, if you are, but you know what? I'm telling you the truth. Maritime liens versus vessel mortgages. There are two common claims against vessels. Okay, my people? There are two common claims against vessels. Against vessels, my people. There are two common claims against a vessel. So, my people, are y'all ready for this? I don't think y'all ready. Y'all don't even really want to listen, but y'all need to be listening to this because I'm dropping y'all some science from a whole nother dimension of truth right now. This guru got people down the wrong road, my people, and y'all are going to suffer severely if y'all doing a financing statement talking about it's a maritime lien. A maritime lien, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a maritime lien on a UCC statement. And from what I just read to you, from the research, because that's all we do here at the United States Private Enterprise Free State, compliments of my nigga Patrick Devine, may he rest in peace if he's really dead. Now, maritime lien. There are two common liens against vessels. Maritime lien, automatic when services are provided to the vessel. Examples: repairs, fuel, and dockage. How do we repair a birth certificate? How do we fuel a birth certificate? How do we dock a birth certificate? Dockage. Please, Mr. Guru, Monday and Wednesday night on your show, please tell us how we do this if it's a maritime lien on a UCC filing financing statement. Please correct yourself. Preferred ship mortgage, a loan secured by the vessel and recorded with the Coast Guard. These are also recorded through the National Vessel Documentation Center. Example in New York, a yacht docked in Long Island receives engine repairs. How are you going to dock a birth certificate, a piece of paper? Please tell us. Owner refuses to pay. The mechanic may record notice of claim of lien CG-4593, file admiralty case in federal court, request vessel arrest. You can't do this on a UCC financing statement. You cannot record a maritime lien on a UCC financing statement. What idiot told him that, and then he's telling us to do that dumb shit? Okay. Court. United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York. Simple summary, my people. UCC equals state commercial liens. Maritime lien equals federal vessel lien. Admiralty court equals maritime disputes. So, UCC cannot be mixed with a maritime lien. UCC cannot be mixed with admiralty court. They are separate legal systems. So, you know, my people, it's really fucked up how you listen to gurus that wear new suits every Monday and Wednesday on their show and give you information, but go read their UCC. And we pulled up the UCC. The UCC is, it's a public UCC, and I'm not saying the name, but they have a public UCC, and, you know, they filed it, and they have exhibits A through H. They have a last will and testament. They have a claim of lien, a maritime lien, $9 billion lien. They have a COL form, violation warnings for a $9 billion lien. They have a U.S. Department Transportation, U.S. dot registrant. They have a certificate of title, a UCC 1 addendum filed in Superior Court, Newton County, Georgia. They have a certificate of title number, an international UCC filing and treaty in Washington State. And the date of the filing is 06/02/2011. So this UCC financing statement is null and void due to the fact that you cannot claim a lien, a maritime lien on a UCC filing. And I've read you how you claim and make a claim of a maritime lien is done through the U.S. Coast Guard. So my people, I rest my case. A nigga wearing a new suit every week, it's just taking your fucking money, giving you fucked up information with fucked up classes that he gives. So my people, wake up, do your own research. I gave it to you. This has been a public announcement from the United States Private Enterprise Free State. 407-300-5377. Stay up, my people. Stay one, my people. Stay strong, my people. And we are, what are we doing? Tapping it. We out, my nigga. Because your maritime lien is bogus. It is not the right way to file a maritime lien.